You're listening to the Sports Brothers podcast by Sam and Brian Dostal. Everything sports, all the time.
Cause I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now, flew me to places I've never been. Till you put me down, oh, I knew you were trouble when you walked in.
Good day to you and welcome to another edition of the Sports Brothers podcast. As always, I am Brian Dostler, and Sam, you're back. You're back better than ever.
Was I ever really gone? What did
What?
I miss? One?
I don't know. I feel like it's been a while since we've done a show together.
Well, we did one last Saturday. Remember, we did our special
We did our special.
NBA free agency LeBron James special.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And Sam, tonight and tomorrow, my two last baseball games as a player. Very sad.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing. I went through that a few years back now.
4 years ago.
Fortunately, I made it to the playoffs with that team.
Yeah.
And actually, it was a strange. I've never seen an ending to the game the way that my last hardball game ended. It was a runner on third with one out. We were in Montville, and I can't remember if it was the 9th or 10th inning.
9th.
But strike three, ball in the dirt, so the catcher had to throw to first. Ball in the dirt, catcher's throwing to first, and I'm playing first base, and I start yelling, "Don't throw it!" But he throws the ball, and the kid comes in and easily scores from third base. Nothing we could do about that. Well, our catcher could have held onto the ball.
Pat Thomas.
But besides that, nothing you could. But you yesterday, heck of a performance. 10 innings,
Thank you.
3 runs, just 1 earned in your final real start. I mean, there could be other baseball for you in the future, but you went out with on a good note. Only 123 pitches, though, too, in 10 innings.
Not too shabby.
No, not too bad.
All right, on today's show, we will be discussing the MLB All-Star Game and then talk about some of the Major League teams and where teams stand, where we think they're going to fall for the playoffs or not. Some players that have been performing well or underperforming this season so far. The NBA free agency, we're kind of talk about players that have signed or been traded in the last 5-6 days or so. A British Open update, which Sam will appreciate. And then Stuart Scott's SP speech, which I think we'll just kind of briefly talk about it. It's at the end, but I think it's worth talking about. And then at the end, we're going to get back to our Stump the Bro. We're tied at 4-4, so hopefully one of us will have – I'll take the lead after today. So, all right, so the MLB All-Star –
There's no shot you got
when
the
he was
question
first
you're gonna ask.
introduced,
Okay,
he got a huge standing ovation. And then obviously he was the leadoff hitter. I mean,
MLB
just
All-Star
that whole moment where he got the double down the line.
Was the 85th edition
you know, that's
of the
something
Major
that'll
League
be
Baseball
remembered forever.
All-Star game,
and then he
and it was
didn't
the American
score.
League that
No,
took
he
it
didn't score that
5-3.
inning.
It's their second
Mike Trout brought him
consecutive
in on a
win
triple,
in a row,
so it was
the
a double
American
triple
League
right off the bat for the
obviously
American
he
League.
granted home field
And
advantage
then in
during
the fourth inning when he got taken out,
but
he
Sam
didn't
was
know that
all
this
about
was going to be
Derek
happening,
Jeter,
which makes it
his
even more
last
special, really,
All-Star
because
game.
he was
And
caught off
the
guard,
way
but in a
went
good
out
way here.
certainly
When
was
Alexei
exactly,
Ramirez, the
I mean,
Chicago
Hollywood
White Sox
couldn't write a
shortstop,
better script.
Yeah, it
came
was
out
perfect. He
and,
led off
you know,
the
kind of took
bottom
him out
of
when
the
everyone was
first
on the
inning,
field,
had a 66
so that way it would
standing
ensure that
ovation.
Jeter would get the standing
Then
ovation that
doubled
he
down the
certainly
line,
deserves.
came around to score the
And,
first run of the game for
you
the
know,
American
it's
League.
just,
Again,
again,
at bat,
I was
he
watching it
pooped
with
one
some
into
friends
right
here that are in
field.
my
So
house.
two
We were playing cards
patented
last night, but
Derek
we
Jeter hits.
we
the
stopped
line
and
drive
watched
the other
whenever
way,
there's,
and then the
you know,
flare
these
the other
Jeter-type
way.
moments.
And then
And, you know,
the
the
way
ovation he
that
got
John Farrell and the coaching staff removed him
was
from
phenomenal,
the game. He went out there
and
to warm up
rightfully
in the
so.
top of the
He
fourth
tipped his
inning.
cap, said
And
thank
then
you.
they said
And
sent Alexei Ramirez
just really,
out there, took
you know,
him
for
off.
the Yankees,
Got a
Jeter
huge
going out this
standing
year, it was
ovation,
Mariano last
gave
year.
a hug to every teammate
And
in the dugout, and then
just
came
just
back
kinda
out and
wow.
did a curtain
I
call.
mean,
I thought
it's really
it was
all you can
very
say
well
about
done.
it, really.
By
My father
everybody
was
involved,
actually
Major League
fortunate enough to
Baseball.
be at
I
this
guess
game.
Major League Baseball didn't do too much. It was all
booked
the
these
players,
tickets quite some time
and
ago
the
through
coaches,
work, and he scheduled his time around to
doing
make sure he was
what
at
they
the
did.
All-Star
It was
game,
same
and
thing
really
with
just
Mariano Rivera last year.
and he had some very good seats. He about 20
and
rows up,
players in
third
the
base
past,
side,
and
and
it's the
pretty
other
much. I mean, if
players,
I can tell by
and
the
I think
picture, he's pretty much
you
lined
saw
up
the
with Jeter at
respect that
shortstop.
everybody
So
in the game
you know,
had
certainly
for Derek Jeter
those
and what
moments
he's
he'll remember
done
forever.
for the game of
And
baseball throughout his
you know,
career.
Derek Jeter, he became the
became
oldest
player
in All-Star game history to have multiple
during the
hits
All-Star game.
during the All-Star
And
game.
our father was actually at this
And
game. He was fortunate enough to
With
be
the
there.
American
He was
League
about
winning,
20 rows
they
up
clinched
third
home
base
field
side.
advantage
I
for the
think he
second
was
consecutive
pretty
year. The
much
Boston
looking
Red
straight at
Sox, of
Jeter as
course,
he looks,
they had it last year,
face
and they
forward.
used it in
So
Game
he
6 of the
saw
World
it
Series.
firsthand.
And he said the experience was awesome.
Mike Trout,
Obviously,
he was named the most valuable player, the Ted Williams most valuable player
and then when he was first
of the All-Star game. He went 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs in this
one.
one.
Of the greats,
and
20 seasons
in
the major leagues.
Neither
you
of
can
us.
almost see
I was born.
that it's almost kind of the passing
before
of the
Derek
torch
Jeter became the shortstop
from
of the Yankees,
Jeter
but I have no
to
recollection.
Mike
In our
Trout as
memories,
the
there's never
franchise
been another
player
starting
of
shortstop
Major
of
League
the New York
Baseball.
Yankees.
For so many years, Jeter has been that guy. He's been the face
You were one.
of the MLB,
I was
a
5.
class guy.
Yeah.
And
Cowboys and Indians.
Yeah, that's
you know,
Davey
before
Crockett.
it was before the game.
All right, so
you know, I never really thought about it. Before the
hate
game,
that
you know, I was
it
watching all the
a
pregame
topic
stuff on
after the
Fox
All-Star
Sports
game,
1.
but with
You know,
Adam Wainwright
you know, saying
apparently
who
grooving the ball
would
to
be
Jeter
the
so he could
face
get a
of
hit
the
that was
MLB.
on the line in the
And
first
my
inning.
first thought was Clayton Kershaw.
No,
I think
one,
he
I don't
is.
have a problem with
I
it
still
if
think he
Wainwright
is the
wants
best
to do it because,
player
again, with the respect
in
that he
Major
gives him
League
and
Baseball,
what he deserves, and,
just
for
because
that
the
to
way he
happen.
goes out once every
But
5 days.
Wainwright, don't go to
and-
Twitter during the game
and
or really
competes
anytime,
at
but
such a high
especially
level
during
and
the game
performs
and
at such
say
a
that
high level.
you
You know,
did it on
I
purpose.
mean, he's well into his.
He did say in the
his,
tweet that, you know, he kind of gave it
Wainwright
to him,
could get
but
it.
if he knew
But
he
he
was
could
gonna
be getting
double it on
his
the line, he wasn't
second
gonna-
straight Cy Young
he
award,
probably
NL
would've
Cy
done
Young
it.
award.
Well, see, I
And,
don't necessarily have the
you know, but
issue. It's
but,
not the issue
you
with
know,
Wainwright
Gabe
saying it,
Kapler
and
and
it's
you know
not
Frank
the issue
Thomas
with Wainwright doing it.
the announcers on Fox
The
Sports
issue
1.
is
Excuse me,
this
they were
game
saying,
counts.
you know, Mike
Yeah.
Trout.
You know, and the Cardinals
and, you know, I
are
was
a
like,
team
you know, that'd be my
that
second pick.
could.
But after this
they're
game, I
making a
mean,
run
just
they're
I'm
not
just
in the
kind of, you
playoffs
know,
right now,
really.
I don't think.
I mean,
They
I hear
might
other
be in the
people
wild
say it.
card spot, but
I would
they're
go
a
with Mike
team
Trout.
they're playing some
He-
good baseball, and they
He's
could
22 years old. He's been in
make
3
it back to
All-Star
the World
games.
Series.
He's
So
won an
they're
All-Star
playing
game
for
MVP
home field
already.
advantage.
I mean, 22 years old.
For that
He's
reason,
won 3 of them already. I mean,
for
it's
some,
absolutely
but that moment should
astounding.
have happened.
And,
I think
certainly
something
quite
like
an accomplishment
that moment
for such a
tells
young
you
man.
why this game is an
And I mean,
exhibition.
really, the
why the
ceiling
players
is
don't even
the
take
limit
it,
for him for what
as
he will be
something,
doing. And you know, it's
that
going to
is
be
that
fun to watch
meaningful
him
in the grand
as he
scheme of
grows.
things.
But I certainly,
Because
you know, really kind of
do
thinking
wanna give
about
a
it,
guy like
I
Derek
could
Jeter,
see
a sign
why
of
you would
respect in a game
pick
like
Trout. You know, the reason
that.
why,
And
again,
you,
why I
you
said
look at the
Kershaw,
whole
you
moment,
know, myself
66
being a
seconds
pitcher,
where Wainwright puts his
first.
glove down on the mound,
You
backs
know,
up off the
it's
mound.
kind of a bias.
That's never going to
but
happen.
you know, you
in
look
another,
at Trout and what he's done,
in another
what
sort
he's
of baseball
projected
game.
to do. You know, barring any
and then you put
season
yourself
or
in the
career-ending
situation
injury, you know,
where
this guy's going to be elite every
Jeter
single year he's
doubles,
out there.
And it's not like
So
you're
it
facing
would make
your
sense
average
for
team.
Trout
You
to
got
be,
Mike Trout,
you know, the face
Robinson
of the
Cano,
MLB
Miguel
when
Cabrera,
Jeter retires.
Jose,
And another
Batista.
thing I want to touch
the list goes
upon
on
in
and
the
on.
All-Star
batter's
game
coming up
was
next,
there's all
you know,
the
and
controversy that Adam Wainwright, the starting pitcher
for Adam
for the
Wainwright,
National League, he
chances
grew
of you
the fastball
pitching
to Derek
out
Jeter
of
that
a runner on second,
allowed
nobody
him, in
out,
quotes I'm going to put,
situation
allowed
with those
Jeter to
guys
hit the
coming
double
up
down the
next
line.
next to him.
I mean,
Yeah, it certainly is a tall task.
you know, you can take it
And,
for what you want,
You know,
but
I mean, he did it. Out
if
of
he
respect,
did,
obviously.
I'm
but I
honestly
think the
okay
media
with
kinda-
that. You know,
kinda
if
blew it up a little
Wainwright
bit.
wants to
I
do
do
it, I mean,
too.
hey,
But I think,
Adam Wainwright, he
like I
you
said,
know,
I
he
think it's
is
definitely
on the St. Louis Cardinals,
shows
obviously, and
why
they want
this
to get
game
back
should
to the
move
World
back.
Series.
Just be
So
an
for the
exhibition
Cardinals' standpoint,
Mike
winning
Trout,
this
he was
game
named the
is
Ted
pretty
Williams most
important.
valuable
You know,
player
you want that
after
home
he
field
went 2 for
advantage.
3
They
and
didn't
2
have it
RBIs.
last year, and they lost in Game
Sam,
6
I know
to
we
Boston.
briefly talked about this.
And-
Jeter has been
and,
known as the
You know,
face
the first
of
2 games were in
of
Boston
the
in the
MLB,
World Series.
really the last
You know,
10
they
to
wanted
15
they want it
years.
home. You know, so
you don't think so,
that
but
kind of is a factor in it.
You said now
Um,
you don't think so.
Again,
Who
I
do you
don't
think
have
it
a
is
problem
then? Is it
with
Trout
Wainwright
already?
grooving it
Because
to him,
people are
giving the
saying
respect that he
because people are
deserves
saying
to Jeter.
that with Trout
But
winning
don't
the
go
MVP
out and say
in
it.
Jeter's last All-Star game.
Don't go
that's,
to Twitter,
pretty
especially during
symbolic
the
of
game.
passing the torch
Don't go,
over
you know, don't
to
say,
Trout.
you
I don't know.
know,
I just don't know
I
how
forget
you
the
can
exact
say
quote, you know,
maybe he is the
it
face of
wasn't
the
Groove. Groove
MLB.
wasn't the
I'm not
word,
really
but, you
sure,
know,
but
I
he was
gave it
out
to
all of
Jeter.
last year.
You know, if I knew he was going to hit a
And
double, I probably wouldn't
I
have
don't
done
think
it.
there really is
But,
a
I
face
mean,
of Major League Baseball
You know,
right
just
now. I think this
it's
is somewhere where
unnecessary to say
Major
it.
League Baseball
That's
does
something
a
that
very
he just
poor
completely
job
denying.
as
Just
a
you know, kind of
company,
keep
as
it.
an industry.
You know,
They don't
just
promote their players well, do they?
No,
to
not
as
as
a
well as
mystery
the
to
NBA.
fans, I guess, because I mean, you know,
promotes
people would have
Kevin
talked about
Durant
it, and then
and
it
the
would have,
Oklahoma
died down very
LeBron
quickly.
James
But
and
it's
the
one of the
Cleveland
top
Cavaliers.
topics
just
today.
with that, I mean, all the shoes.
Wayne right over,
Right.
he
I
gave
mean,
it to
Jeter's
Jeter
the only guy who
and
has
whatnot.
the
But
Derek
I mean,
Jeter
he gave him a
shoes
standing ovation along
under
with
the
everyone
Jordan
else
brand, I believe
to
they
Jeter,
are.
and
are.
Jeter actually,
But
told
it's one
him.
of those.
So
I
all
don't
right, let's
think
go.
Major
When
League
he
Baseball
was
does a
to
very
play.
good job promoting
But
its players.
it's just Wainwright being
it's tougher for
the
a
class
baseball
guy
player
he
to
is.
have
He put the
an
glove
impact
down to show you, like,
on the
no,
game like
Jeter,
a
you deserve
Kevin
this.
Durant can.
Yeah.
Jeter, a guy that's
Kevin
really
Durant
not
can
comfortable with
impact
the
every
spotlight
single
solely on
possession,
him. Obviously,
while Derek Jeter
he
or Mike
is
Trout
known as
can't.
Mr. November for all of his clutch hits and clutch plays for the
But
Yankees.
still, I don't think
but
they do a good
he really
enough job
doesn't like the
promoting
center of attention all around
their
him.
stars.
And but he's
a
certainly
lot
going to
of
be getting
people,
those
you've seen
moments
those things.
in the coming
Jimmy
months. And
Fallon
certainly the All-Star
did it
game
with Matt
last
Harvey
night was one of them.
and New Yorkers.
And now to
and
the
people
Home Run
wouldn't
Derby
recognize him.
a few nights
And
ago.
I mean, that's
This
not to say they're
podcast
not
was supposed to be
watching
yesterday,
baseball,
but due to the fact that I think
but
this
it's-
audio thing,
I don't know.
It's just out of
take the
context,
audio
so we
thing. I
don't
couldn't do
recognize
it.
Baseball
I
is
do want to talk
falling
about Hummer Derby a little
behind
bit.
in the social media realm, in the
I
realm
do like
of
the new
this is
setup
a whole nother
of how it
discussion,
was.
but
They have
they need to do
a
a better
bracket
job marketing their game,
type
I think,
thing
to
now
the younger
where
generation.
it's 5 guys from each
And
league.
Trout now,
You know,
22
all
years
5
old,
guys,
he's been to 3
they
All-Star games,
they
and
hit
has won
7 outs
MVP.
now instead of 10,
This kid's gonna
which
be good.
Yeah, he certainly
I
is.
like. I
and,
mean, makes it go a little bit faster.
The amazing thing
And
is, he got off
you know,
to a
they kind
slow
of see
start
each
this
other
I
with
know.
that,
He
and
got
then they
off
have
to
matchups. So
a slow
you know,
start,
it's not the
heading into
top 4,
270s
then the top
for
2.
a better
You just
part
have
of the
to beat
beginning
one
portions
player.
of this season.
And
He
I
has
do like
really
that.
turned it on,
I'm a big fan of brackets. I'm not gonna lie.
Everybody's
I mean, whenever I
known
see
he
a
was going to
bracket,
be the
you know,
star.
like,
I think they tried. I think they forced the
obviously
Bryce Harper
the
thing
biggest
a little
one
bit. I
being
think
the
they're
big-
forcing that at this
the big,
point. But Trout is a
64
guy
team
who's
NCAA
going to
tournament every year for
if
college
injuries don't
basketball.
derail him, he's
But
going to be a star in this game for a long, long time.
the one
And
downside
last
of
thing
it,
about
obviously,
Jeter is
and
in
I
his
think what most
20-year
people can point to
career
is
so
it allows
far,
people
he's
like
only
Todd Frazier to
played
keep advancing
in
and advancing
one meaningless
on only
game.
1 home run.
meaning
He hit 1
that
home run
the
against
Yankees
Giancarlo Stanton.
were
He went first, and
mathematically
you have
out
to
of the
imagine that
postseason. I think they came back in
that
2008.
Stanton hit at least
If
one.
I remember correctly, one game.
But he
I mean,
didn't.
last year they didn't make the playoffs.
So,
but he was.
You know,
on
I
the
guess that's a
disabled
little bit
list,
of
so
flaw,
they're
essentially,
counting
kind of.
healthy
I mean,
when he's
but
on
I
the
think it was
field,
good.
only
I
one
liked it.
game
You know,
that
you
he
can
didn't
see a
play
Troy
in, and I mean,
Tulowitzki
that says
versus
it all really there.
He's been a
not-
winner since he
Yasiel
stepped
Puig
onto the field.
matchup,
The
you know,
Yankees they
stuff
thought
like
about
that.
trading him
You know, it keeps
when
fan
he first
interest.
came up.
So I did like
obviously
it.
a good
but
choice
our
not
winner,
to trade him.
as I should
and
mention, Yoenis
he's-
Cespedes from the
he's
Oakland
turned
A's,
into
his second
one of the all-time
consecutive
greats and a
home run
first ballot
derby
Hall of Famer for
championship.
sure.
I'm assuming
And
he'll
very
go
quickly,
for a
Sam,
third.
wrapping up the All-Star
And you know,
stuff.
he had some towering home runs, but
Home
the
run
most
derby,
of
different format
the
this
best
past
one
year.
of all
Yoenis
was
Cespedes
Giancarlo
won for the
Stanton.
second consecutive
he
year.
hit it
Congratulations.
471, I
But
think,
it
something
was
like that, and it was
matchups,
projected
a bracket
510.
sort of
If
thing.
you know, if there
Now I
weren't
like
any
it,
stands.
but the only thing
And
that
I mean,
I
that's
don't like
just,
about
that's
it
just
Takes
nasty
too
design.
long.
It was a
It does
triple
take too
decker
long, but Todd
at
Frazier
Target Field the other
hit
night.
1 home run.
Yeah.
So, but
couple
congratulations
times,
to
and he advanced
Yoenis
to the championship
Cespedes.
Well, he had 10 home runs going
And,
into that championship round. Cespedes had 30
you know, maybe
home
maybe he'll
runs.
win again next year.
And Frazier had 10.
Now,
And Frazier had
just
6
mention,
of those
You know, they
in
had.
one round.
I mean, obviously
And,
every year,
you
but they
know,
had the All-Star
I
game
did
with
like the
Jeter and
brackets. I
everything.
did like it how it
They had
matched up, but
Cespedes.
at
I
the
mean, it
same
was a good home run
time, the
derby. It was a
number
rain
one
delay, so
seed,
ended later than usual.
I think
But
that's
it was still good.
disadvantage.
Yeah.
They're waiting
Glenn
too long.
Perkins
Neither of them
and
advanced.
Kurt
They're waiting
Suzuki,
too
two
long.
twin
Giancarlo
teammates,
Stanton
catcher and
didn't hit
pitcher.
any.
No.
I don't
They
remember
were
how
on the
many
field
Jose
for the
Batista
final
hit, but
3
he didn't
outs
advance.
of the All-Star
And
game last night. It was
Batista,
really a
between the
playoff-like
time
atmosphere
when he
when
first
Perkins
hit
was
it
on
and
the
hit
mound.
10 home
Obviously,
runs his first time
the
around,
hometown
he
favorite
waited
there,
an hour
and he was able to
54
get the
minutes.
3
Yeah, I
outs,
knew it was
1,
close to
2,
2
3 for the
hours.
AL.
I mean,
And
they
like
cut
I said, it
down
was
the
really
outs
like a
this year,
playoff
but
atmosphere. I
it
mean,
just
this
takes
All-Star
too
game
long.
had
Maybe you gotta cut
everything.
the numbers down.
The Futures game went well.
3 from
The
each league
Celebrity
or something,
Softball
I don't
game
know.
was fun as
I don't
always.
know, but
Really, just a great All-Star
yeah,
weekend.
I do like it, but I don't.
festivities.
All right, so
But there was
And then
one
just before we
problem.
move, Yasiel
One
Puig, you
big
may never see a
problem,
worse
actually.
swing in a home run derby
know.
than he took.
Check swing.
swing,
My one
slow
problem,
roller
and it's
back
not
to the
just me,
to the
and I
pitcher's
thought of
screen.
this
He
morning
didn't know what was going on
when I was
with
at
I've
that.
always
work,
wanted to see a player
and then
whiff,
you know
swing and
when I
miss.
got home and saw internet stuff.
And how about that line
you know,
drive that
it-
Stanton hit
it said
the
the
last
same
out
stuff.
of his first time up?
Tony
when,
Gwynn Jr. passed
Redmond,
away
Mark
a few months
Redmond,
ago,
the
or
manager
last
for
month,
the
excuse
Marlins
me,
throwing him BP
and
ducked.
nothing was said
Yeah.
about him.
That thing was an absolute
Now-
Yeah.
laser.
And that's coming right at you on the TV screen. And his
Obviously, this
ball
All-Star
is
game was meant
projected
for Jeter.
510 feet.
Yeah, that
It's
looked
his
like it was
last
gonna get out
one,
of the stand.
and rightfully so.
All right,
but
so now with it being the
Target
All-Star
Field,
weekend, obviously,
Major
it's
League
always a good
Baseball,
time to reflect
nor
on the
Fox
first
said
half of the
anything
season.
about Tony
There's
Gwynn.
many surprises, some
Not
disappointments.
one thing.
On everywhere
Not a
across the
moment
board
of
in Major League
silence.
Baseball.
Not
Just go over your division
honorary
leaders right
first
now.
pitch or
Baltimore,
something
they're
like
at 4
that. I mean,
games,
it was
American
Joe
League
Mauer and some
Detroit,
former Twins
6.5
players
in the
that
Central.
throughout the
Oakland,
first
a
pitch.
game and a half out over
You know,
the
no
Angels in
tribute
the West
video
and then the
from
National
Major
League.
League Baseball or the
Washington,
Minnesota
Atlanta are
Twins.
tied. The
You know,
Mets are 7
nothing
games back in
about
third. Milwaukee Brewers are a game
Tony
lead
Gwynn.
over the
And this is a guy that
defending defending National
He
League
didn't
champions.
he didn't go to the All-Star game once. He went there 15 times. Okay, he went there one more time than Derek Jeter.
Giants, and these are really all close races.
I mean, 5-time Gold Glove, 7-time Silver Slugger Award, 8-time NL batting champion, and he's in the Hall of Fame.
We did see them come back.
I mean, how can you just miss a big one?
I'm not sure if
they'll
go through a stretch
how
like that
can you
again.
miss a big one like that?
The most complete team
It bothers me
in baseball right now.
It's something that I didn't think about during the All-Star game. I mean, with people over, I was watching, not really watching.
65, 70 games of the Major League Baseball season. There's a lot going on with the new wild card
nothing.
system.
I mean, I was watching the pregame stuff,
so
and
new anymore.
and
moving
not
into
even
its third year.
In the pregame stuff, do they even mention Tony
more
Gwynn?
teams involved.
I mean, that's just something that you absolutely have to do.
That's what
and
you
I
get
don't
when you
understand
have
why
a
they
lot
didn't do it.
of,
I mean, I haven't heard a
teams
statement
that are
saying,
about the same. a lot
from the
of,
MLB or at Fox or anyone saying, this is the reason why we didn't talk about because I really don't think there is an answer.
A lot of cities are going to be involved
maybe
late in the Major League Baseball
season. Feel like it would fit,
and it's going to be a fun stretch run.
With this All-Star game,
team
but
that I don't think will win the division. Milwaukee, they've been struggling, but I'm very interested to see how St. Louis plays with an extended period of time without Yadier Molina. It's only been a little while right now.
I think it was a big miss there.
Molina
like I said, the All-Star weekend festivities,
he's really the heart and soul of that
fantastic.
Cardinals team, and a team
really
that's
was
struggling offensively.
But you missed
he's
a big
bat
one
in that
Minnesota.
Yeah,
you really did.
They're definitely going to miss him.
So the 2015 All-Star game, that will be in Cincinnati.
But as you mentioned, it's
home of the Cincinnati Reds,
and
there is some speculation
for a baseball team
that Pete Rose,
looking at the American League
former
West,
Cincinnati
right
player,
now, the playoff
manager,
today,
and
the
gambler,
League West would have
will
three
be
teams
playing
going
some
to
type of a role
the
for
A's would be the division.
This All-Star game
would be the
next
division
season.
For
of course, he was
third
banned
consecutive year, I believe,
in the
Angels
80s.
And Seattle, they
the
were
80s,
I
believe.
How about the
for
Seattle
gambling
Mariners? This
on
is a team
games that he managed.
Really, the last couple of years,
And he's starting to slowly
in the playoff
but surely
hunt, and now this
come
year
back
it seems
into
like
baseball.
they may have a very good chance of cracking through.
Last month now,
44 in the first half
where
of the year.
he
they got
was actually in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and he
year,
managed the Bridgeport Bluefish for a game.
Felix Hernandez. How about this for the Mariners front office?
Won the game.
So many opportunities to trade this guy.
It was just a one game. It was an honorary type thing.
And he's done a phenomenal job.
He's slowly starting to get back into the baseball.
Of why
and maybe with with Bud Selig going, the new commissioner, when he comes in, maybe he'll let him in.
Take for instance the Marlins.
It's obviously
not to get off the
Pete
Seattle
Rose.
topic,
If Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame,
but
is one of the
there's been a
biggest
lot of trade talk about
sports
Giancarlo
baseball
Stanton.
debates
they should trade him,
in the history of the game.
Trade him to. It's come up with the Red Sox a
what
lot.
he did on the field
but
versus
if you're the
what he did
Marlins,
off the
this guy's
field.
25.
His numbers
Why
are
would
Hall
you
of
trade
Fame
him?
worthy.
There's still a long time left in his
his
career.
actions
Build
off the
around
field
him.
are
and the Mariners,
pretty trashy.
They said that's what we're going to do.
Not Hall of Fame
we have
worthy.
One of the top pitchers in the game.
So
and while we have
it'll be interesting to see.
We're going to try to build around
what he's going to be. It's going to be a big storyline next year.
Is happy out there because
they haven't said what kind of role he'll be, or we don't know if he'll be a bench coach.
He signed extensions with them. Obviously, very comfortable with them, but good for them.
I would have to imagine
I think they did come close once or twice to moving him, but they never got the right pieces, and
throwing out the
now
first
it's
pitch,
paying off
because
they're
do
a
anything
team that,
towards
with a good unofficial second half of the season, can make a run at this and sneak in there as a playoff team.
And I think they can do some
it would have to be
if they were to get there. I mean,
some capacity.
You got Hernandez throwing
so that's for next year. But
overall,
overall, I will say that it was a success, and congratulations to Derek Jeter. And we'll be talking certainly more about you on the podcast. And we'll want to end up going to school on the other cocktail with Patrick Mirth on WECS 90.1. Wow, I haven't said that in a long time.
Solid guys here, starters
but
for
so
this
we'll
team.
be following
Robinson Cano
Jeter all the way till the end.
34 in the first half.
And he adds that
and now
bat
to
that
the World
they
Cup,
needed.
which concluded this past
and
Sunday
you
when Germany
averages,
won their fourth
Sagers
World Cup final,
Michael Saunders
1-0 over Argentina.
They got some guys who can swing the bat there.
The reason why I bring this up, well, I mean, we followed the World Cup,
who can get on base.
Not the most diehard of fans, but we did follow it during.
They're not going to win that
during
division.
its time through our podcast.
They have to
but
come
the number that I want to point to you
spot,
is 28 million Americans watched this final. 28 million Americans watched this final in a final that didn't include the Americans. Okay, these were two foreign countries that played against each other. Two
Blue Jays,
dominant programs, two big names in Germany and Argentina.
Very close.
And
Cincinnati game out, Pittsburgh.
I think it speaks volumes for the sport of soccer.
The second wild card
it's been
really
criticized, highly
it
criticized.
Certainly does.
Because not being
looking at the
sport that should
National
fit in
League
America.
All-Star. The National League
I'm on
wild
this
card right now. You
side.
got two teams
I'm not a huge soccer fan at all. I'll admit that. I mean, we have admitted that on
but you look at the American League, and this is where I have a little bit of an issue.
We're not going to pretend
with
to
this. Obviously,
say
things
we're
could
talking
tighten
about
up.
soccer.
The Angels,
but
they're 57-37.
It is a growing sport in this country.
Over Seattle,
now,
who's in that fifth wild card spot, or the second
do I think it's going to be bigger than?
That's where I have the issue with it. I don't like when
baseball, football, or basketball. No, I don't.
Like
not
Anaheim or
at
Los
least
Angeles is that much
in the
better
next
than the other team.
God, I don't know.
And now the other team
30,
has a
40
chance.
years, I really don't. But it is a growing sport. You know,
would probably get the ball.
Soccer really takes over
sort out what kind of
America,
need to seal up
it takes it by storm, really. I mean, that's when you'll see soccer on ESPN.
It could be Felix Hernandez throwing against,
daily or
Jared
I shouldn't say daily, but
2
or 3 games a week. You don't see that. You see maybe one. You see the MLS game of the week.
2 runs, 8 innings, 2 runs.
Usually it's on Sundays, and now they're pushing even more with the World Cup.
That's where I don't like that second wild card.
I think it was a few years ago. The Cardinals, they beat the Braves.
I still don't think it's going to make that big of a jump. But so it is encouraging to soccer fans in the U.S. that it did. That I think this stat really says a lot with 20 million Americans watching this.
More buzz, more.
Again, the Americans were not involved in this.
Yeah,
so
that's what they want to do. They want to keep
time
more cities interested.
Time of their day to watch this.
I think
a big part of why there's more involvement in soccer in this World Cup was because of social media.
I didn't find those
okay, obviously when the U.S. plays, Twitter's going nuts. I mean, it's not just my timeline.
I didn't think they were
because
I
follow all sports things. But
I was doing something
people's timelines do go crazy when U.S. I mean, especially when John Brooks had the header. That was
it's like the NCAA tournament.
Every tweet
is
John Brooks.
A little bit more now because you get some.
And then Tim Howard against
and it can't affect who you. Anyway,
Belgium. But it was just all
what made
U.S.
those
soccer.
Playing games so great.
And I think that's a big
help. Colorado Rockies
of
won
why
holiday sliding in a few years ago. The Minnesota Twins winning
a
while back.
In America,
what made those games
the
so
World
great
Cup kind of grew on people.
Rare.
And I think it's a very encouraging stat.
I think you had a couple good playing games, and then you had that crazy last day of the
for soccer fans in the U.S.
Major leagues,
ESPN. I mean, smartly they're pushing for games on ESPN. They're trying to keep the audience involved because people like me, will watch soccer once every 4 years and then turn it off until the next 4 years.
Okay, so Sam, it's July 18th.
I mean, and honestly. For me, I only really watch the U.S. games. I mean,
9.5 out of the American League East.
I'm trying to think.
Let's get on a record.
I watched the end of.
I don't think so either.
The Netherlands and somebody.
I think
they won 4-5 going to the break.
Games I went down to.
I think they have 67 games
that I watched. But
and
it is a growing interest, and I think that's good for soccer fans. And for the soccer haters out there, just
down the stretch.
Like I said when I first started talking about this, I don't think it's ever really going to surpass.
And you think John Lester will not resign?
Baseball, basketball, football, I don't.
I think he is. My gut feeling is
just
because in the beginning of the season the Red Sox offered.
I mean, it would have to go really high. I mean, soccer is a European sport.
Insulting.
I mean, it was created in
Europe, hometown discount,
and
we're
kind of just getting it on, and really starting to get good at it. As a national team.
He won't win the Cy Young. His record
from what I've heard from multiple sources, is that the U.S. they have a very. I mean, they have some young talent down there.
And his stock,
some young talent.
He'd be smart to.
I mentioned this when they lost to Belgium.
Teams are gonna
that I'm saying, if they don't get past the knockout stage. Or
still relatively young.
Yeah, the knockout stage. I think it's another disappointment.
So now,
2 consecutive years that they've made it past the opening round.
Golf. You are listening to the Sports Bros podcast.
You weren't supposed to make it out of this one. When you have a coach like Jurgen Klinsmann, who has won a World Cup as a player and a coach, you're expected to do big things. And now I think, like I said, I mean, it's a growing sport. So what do you have to do? You have to keep winning.
Yeah, but whenever I see PHS
if they
Sports
win
come up on my Twitter feed, they're always losing.
And make it to
I actually
the semifinals, the finals, whatever. I think
there's still like 67
the sport will even grow even further. It's amazing. It really is amazing what a couple of soccer games can do for the whole sport as a country. But I'm telling you, if they make it,
our shows are kind of
if they make it to the semifinals, finals,
you're going back to school, and
I don't think they'll win it in 2000.
Salem, North Carolina.
18, but
right now.
Well, I think.
But then again, on the other side, if they go 0-3 or don't make it past out of their group stage,
radio, taking a studio.
I'm not saying the numbers are going to dwindle necessarily, but it wouldn't have the same effect, obviously, if they kept winning. All right, so that's enough talk about the World Cup, and the NBA free agency talk continues,
which obviously is one of the big majors.
Every show, we're talking about different NBA free agents.
going back to the basketball?
Going where, not going where. Obviously, LeBron James has been the big one going back to Cleveland.
We're rotating back.
And one of his former teammates, Dwayne Wade, will be staying in Miami, and he'll be staying there for 2 years. Also, Chris Anderson, Birdman, and Mario Chalmers, they re-signed with Miami. Luol Deng, he signs with the Miami Heat 2 years, $20 million. So you're really seeing, the Miami Heat kind of building the same team as they had last year.
Yeah,
minus LeBron James. Do I think that's a good thing?
He's won.
Not necessarily.
2 majors now, right,
I think
McElroy.
they
Both
should
times
kind of change it up a little bit. I mean, they did bring in Joshua Roberts. They did bring
12, I want to say.
Not Rashard Lewis. Danny Granger,
the
Rashard
US
Lewis.
Open in 2010.
It's the Mavs.
In both of those cases, he won by 8 strokes.
Ray Allen, it sounds like if he's either going to the Cavs or retiring.
And this week, he looks like he's
I think
on
they
that
need to
same
make a bigger bang in free agency other than getting
6
Chris
under
Bosh.
each of the first 2 days.
Again, $118 million.
Just 1 bogey.
It'll be interesting to see. I
think
their guard play
should be.
I think their guard play is going to Fulton this upcoming season. I do.
Maybe
that kind of hurts.
He was going to struggle through this round because he's had some
second-round
struggles
unless he steps up big time,
he has one of the higher second-round averages
on
the tour.
They are
and one
rumored
of
to
the
be going after Rodney
Stuckey on the tour. So you thought maybe he was going to come back to the pack a little bit.
I think Eric Bledsoe would be a good fit there as well in Miami. He's a free agent from the Phoenix Suns. I think he'd be a good fit there.
He
but
put on a show.
We'll see.
He's
now,
bombing the ball.
who's my next guy on my notes?
And he
Carmelo
looks
Anthony.
in complete control of his game.
I haven't had a show in a while.
Tiger
Carmelo
Woods,
he resigned to stay in New York for 5 years, $124 million.
And
all I have to say, Carmelo Anthony, to you is do not complain when you do not win an NBA championship in New York.
The guy closest to Rory, as you mentioned,
Don't sit there and whine and say,
really well, 7
LeBron
today.
has his NBA championship.
And he missed a few short putts, so
Parker
he had a chance to go even
his,
lower.
blah, blah, blah.
So you're going to see those two go off in the final pairing tomorrow.
Because you had a chance
a handful of guys
to go to Chicago,
sitting at 6 under.
Play with Derrick Rose,
5 guys to be exact sitting
play
at
with
that 6
Taj Gibson,
number.
play with Jimmy Butler. You had a chance to play with those guys, and you elected to stay in New York.
About
now that's fine. I'm not. If you like New York, okay. Who am I to tell you? Who are any of these sports guys to tell you?
It's going to be a completely different course tomorrow.
I can see why your heart would be in New York.
Out there.
Okay,
it's just a matter
but don't have any more meltdowns saying that I don't win.
Allows a lot of guys back
you're part of a rebuilding process in New York.
That was great, Sam.
You know, if you don't want to talk about golf, you don't have to put it on the schedule.
And last year, they went 38-47, missed the playoffs.
You were watching it last night,
Conference.
the replay of it.
And this, as I mentioned in our past,
you turned it on, and you were watching
a couple podcasts.
No, it's
not.
The
Eastern Conference,
no, it's not.
It's a lot more south than it was last year.
I didn't turn it on.
It really is. It's not good as the West, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than it was last season.
Okay.
Were you not watching it, though?
So don't,
and I said,
start
can I have the remote so I can change
I want to win, I want to win.
What else do you want me to put on? All that's on is CFL football.
Yes, I am down in the New York Knicks.
You were watching.
Phil Jackson.
There was nothing else better to watch.
You were watching.
They can't win an NBA championship.
You were watching.
If they prove me wrong, good for them.
You were watching.
But I don't see one in the near future.
I slept great last night.
That's good to know.
I do like what they've done with their picks.
A couple days ago now.
In their trades,
with Miami Heat.
Getting Shane Larkin,
2 years, $42
getting
million,
Samuel Dallenberg,
if I'm correct.
drafting Clay Anthony early. I like all that stuff.
Mario Chalmers, Chris Anderson, they both re-signed with Miami.
The worst point guard in the league, Raymond Felton. I like all that stuff, but I just don't. It can't compete against
a 2-year, $20 million deal with
Cleveland.
The Heat as they're
making
up these deals to replace LeBron,
but,
essentially.
I don't think he has a chance to compete
against
some of the better teams in the league.
For a cheap price,
Trevor Ariza signed a 4-year, $32 million deal with Houston. He essentially replaces Chandler Parsons. Ariza
to say that
did so well for the Wizards last season, helped them lead
taking a pay cut,
taking a
second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs.
Or $5 million.
I think this is a good fit for Ariza
in total. So really $1 million.
This guy he's a pretty good defender. He's a good on-ball defender. He's got long arms, which bodes well for him. And I think if they didn't get Parsons, Ariza was their guy, and they got him. On the other side, Parsons, he was insulted of how the Rockets didn't offer or didn't they didn't try to go after him in the free agency. Didn't match the offer. That's what I was looking for. Didn't match the offer from the Mavericks that they set up 3 years, $46 million. And by the way, Dirk
does.
Nowitzki,
Now again,
it was
you do have
originally
Phil
first
Jackson
reported that
he's
signed a 3-year, $30 million deal.
That bodes well for you.
Well, it turns out it was a 3-year, $25 million deal.
Which,
so he's making even less money than we originally
Fisher
thought.
Work out as
so,
time goes
good for him. I mean,
but
he wants one more NBA championship before
to go straight
he
to a
retires.
NBA title contending team, and you chose not to.
And
you chose
lastly,
to keep rebuilding in New York.
And this just happened earlier this morning.
The
Charlotte Bobcats, they signed Lance Stevenson to a 3-year, $27 million deal.
And he's worn down at the end of seasons.
Yep.
Michael Jordan.
A lot of miles on that body because
he's doing a pretty good job
as
a GM.
Right after his freshman year of college.
Owner
when
for
he won the
the Charlotte
championship
Bobcats.
at Syracuse. And
drafted Tyler
Carmelo,
Zeller.
He's never had a great
drafted
cast
Michael
around him
Kidd
other than a few years in Denver.
Could be
but
an all-star
like
in a couple
always,
of years.
There were other very
Kemba
good
Walker,
teams in the West where you never expected Denver to really
if not this year.
do anything. You maybe see
signed
Al Jefferson
finals, last year,
but
and now
you never
Lance
expected
Stevenson.
them to win an NBA championship
with
New York.
Pretty good core. Pretty good core.
2 years ago, come on, when
in
they were
Charlotte,
they weren't gonna beat the Heat, and the Pacers
for
were a
Stevenson,
good team.
obviously
so
he's the hothead.
He's never really had a cast around him
be
that
more mellow
to win an NBA title.
In Charlotte.
But, yeah, like you said, we don't want to hear anything.
But the Pacers,
they
offered him a 5-year, $44 million deal on July 1st.
He would have.
And Stevenson said he felt insulted, saying that he deserved more.
Boozer probably would have stayed.
I don't know if they
that's just kind of Lance Stevenson for you there.
But because of the way Taj Gibson is
not much else. Just really his head getting his ego getting in the way there.
They both
but this is a solid Charlotte Bobcat team. And they were the 8th seed last year,
he
which
could have
surprised
had that cast
people.
around him.
And look for them to make a jump.
He said
don't be surprised if they try to do something big
maybe
this
when he
upcoming
watched
season.
Derrick
Now on
Rose
the other side,
he wasn't as impressed as he
the Pacers,
he
they're also looking at Rodney
I
Stuckey,
mean, Rose,
who averaged 17 points a game last year for the Pistons.
Reason as to why
again, Eric Bledsoe,
would
he's
want to
still
sign
on
with
the
Chicago
market.
To play with Derrick Rose, and if he's not going to be 100%
he's still on the market.
Close to it,
I think he'd be a great fit
it's
for
a completely different
anyone.
Chicago
I
Bulls
think
team.
Miami would be his best fit. To
Trevor
be honest.
Ariza signed a 4-year, $32 million deal with Houston.
I don't think they're going to sign him, which I think is a big miss.
I think
but
that's a good pickup.
I like it.
I do too.
Now they have to replace Lance Stevenson, who I think
is
the second most explosive point guard in the NBA behind Russell Westbrook.
Ariza's a better defender.
A guy that, yes,
I think
he
Ariza a little bit older, but I don't think
troublesome as he was sometimes in the locker room, he was very explosive. He was very effective
with Dallas. I think that's a really
during
good fit
postseason play.
Parsons was
he had some stretches, especially against the Heat, where he just took over the game.
From the
and
Mavericks.
Certainly Charlotte hopes he has that fact. They still have George Hill.
He's still in a good team.
But they'll need to bring another point guard
they signed Lance Stevenson
into
Indiana
to try to get
$27 million deal.
To try to get to the NBA Finals, which
the Lance camp
they've been trying to do
$44 million on July 1st. He rejected that, saying he wanted more.
But the best available free agents
he wanted a
still out there.
Contract.
Mentioned multiple times now. Eric Bledsoe, the Phoenix Suns point guard.
He wanted.
And
he didn't want as many years.
Greg Monroe,
the
Detroit Pistons center.
He's going to
be
an
I think this is a must resign for the Pistons.
Contract and then he can get even more money.
I mean, really, the Pistons.
It makes sense.
Last couple years, they've had the talent.
He's still
they've
very
had
young, and
Greg
really
Monroe,
just
they've had Rodney
starting
Stuckey.
To find his footing in the NBA. 23 years old.
Tayshaun Prince
Lance
is gone,
Stevenson
but Josh Smith. They've had Brandon Knight.
He
had
and Andre Drummond.
He had a
solid
triple-double during the season.
Yeah. Again,
he had some
solid
triple-doubles during the season.
Right there.
And he was a guy that a lot of people said should have been an all-star.
If you lock up Monroe long term with Andre Drummond,
very good year,
who should be an all-star next season.
But
it's
a smart decision for him to take the 3 years
the Pistons.
And then reevaluate
before we move on to the
where you are, because at the end of that next deal, he's going to be just 26 years old.
Online last
still
night
a lot of good basketball years
the
in front of him.
Adam
So
Silver,
why
the new
not take 3 years,
commissioner
get some
of
money,
the
because
NBA,
he made
thinking about doing
less than
a
$1 million
tournament
this past year, $870,000.
Mid-season tournament
with the
during the NBA season
with
Pacers.
the Pacers.
Now this.
So take
and
some
this
money,
is something
get
that I
some
want kind of debate with
security,
people. But what will happen here,
and then try to get that max deal in a few years. I like
the top 4 teams.
Quick
I'm
note,
assuming
Rodney Stuckey, he signed a 1-year deal with the Pacers.
2 in the East, 2 in the West.
I like that.
They would play.
He looks like he'll be replacing.
They would
and
play
that gives
a
him
tournament
a true
against
point
themselves.
Stucky's a point guard. He's a good point guard.
The games wouldn't count towards the regular season record.
Or agree with me with this, Sam, but I think Lance Stevenson is the second most explosive point guard in the NBA.
Lance Stevenson.
They play
he's
for
not
a
really
title.
A true point guard. Who do you have as the most explosive?
I mean,
most explosive
obviously, the 1 seed at the All-Star break. I'm assuming it'd be during the All-Star break. It wouldn't necessarily be the same.
I don't know, when I was doing the podcast by myself.
At the end of the season, but usually it is. I mean, usually, because saying
right,
trying to get more teams involved and trying to win,
they won the bid
for him
but
it's folks, it's not like
trade. Lakers outbid 18. Not exactly sure what the trade is.
The Los Angeles Lakers.
The Bulls
will be the 1 seed.
$13.5 million of Boozer's contract, so I'm guessing that's probably the
during the All-Star break, and then be the 8 seed.
You trade them like Chicago.
I don't think they're even worse than last year. That's something I'll talk about after this.
But you were gonna look that up.
I was going to.
Or someone like, I don't know, I'm trying to, the Milwaukee Bucks, they're not going to.
Well, then you said,
oh, yeah, we played really good at first half. We're going to play Oklahoma City in a mid-season tournament final. Like, I don't see.
Two available free agents
I guess
that
because
are still
it excites the fans, it gets more involvement, I guess. But I don't like it. Don't do it,
And I think this is a must-re-sign.
If a player gets hurt, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, somebody goes down in one of those games, you know how furious that would make people? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think
I don't like it.
Monroe's a very solid player. Still,
I don't think there's any point to it.
And you were starting to see
I
last
see why they're
year
doing
the
it, try to fan interest and stuff like that, trying to
with the two of
them. Get
Monroe,
more
24
fans
years
involved
old,
in the game.
And
but I mean, really, you're telling me that Kevin Durant cares about a mid-season tournament?
Yeah. What I don't get about
he wants to be
Detroit
first place
champion
at that.
Josh Smith last year.
Yeah.
Come on.
Because that fills up that.
Maybe it's a good idea,
front court,
but don't go.
It forces you to
now before we move
part
on.
ways with a guy like Greg
forgot
Monroe.
to write my notes, but I do want to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers.
To see where he lands,
and
I think he can
if
be
I'm Kobe Bryant, I am
lastly,
pretty
Suns
mad at
Eric Bledsoe.
Lakers
this
management.
Is the guy that I think the Miami Heat should go after.
This has been the offseason. Everyone's been talking about the last 2 years.
Just yesterday or 2 days ago.
Really 4 years. I mean, because from the big three they signed, they all could opt out in 2014 offseason. Here were the
that seems like a reasonable deal for Eric Bledsoe.
Carmelo.
I don't think this guy's going to be pulling in over $100 million.
None of those guys went to L.A.
From based on that report, what he
Los
said,
Angeles.
Way apart.
Supposed to be Hollywood. Big lights.
So
celebrities.
But I think
beaches.
Miami would be
girls.
A perfect fit.
Everyone's supposed to like it.
It depends how much salary cap they're working with.
People don't like it anymore.
You're right. I'm not sure how much money
Kobe wants people to come
really
to him.
Be asking for at
but
this point.
Now it seems like he has to go to them if he wants to win an NBA championship.
This season. Just season,
fathom that.
Averaging nearly 18
Kobe has to go
game,
to
5.5
elsewhere
assists,
to win an
5
NBA
rebounds per contest.
People aren't coming to LA anymore.
But shooting
really, ever since Dwight Howard
47.7%, but he got hurt. And
no one's coming
never
to LA.
Been that type of player before. You have to show that you're
Gasol,
capable of that.
He went to Chicago
for more than just a 43-game stretch.
They got Jeremy Lin.
You look at the games played throughout his career, 4 years now.
And a future
first-round
pick
at Kentucky.
That
was
was
rookie
the
year with
2014
the Clippers.
Season.
He played 81 games.
The free agency for Los Angeles.
2011, 2012, he played 40 games. So hurt again. 12, 13, he played 76 games, and then this past year, like we said, 43 games.
And Jeremy Lin coming in.
You got to show you can stay on the floor.
Next year, outside Kobe Bryant.
You got to show that you're
Swaggy
capable
P, Nick Young,
of this
re-signing
sort of
him.
over a long
haul.
And lastly, Kevin Love.
Lakers, they got Nick Young. They're going to the ship.
With him being
Don't even ask me if they should do that trade. I have no idea.
This is a team
I don't think
that
okay, then I'll say why I don't think they should.
Should have played with 4 guys
the Cleveland
in an NBA game, in a National Basketball Association game.
Andrew Wiggins, because LeBron James says he wants Kevin Love.
But just think of this. Kobe has to go elsewhere if he wants to win. Not anymore where he was drawing the guys to him. He has to go elsewhere.
Him away from any other team.
He brought Pau Gasol and he brought Ron Artest in.
The Warriors or the Cavaliers are the two front runners.
Him and Shaq work so well together.
I think for the Cavaliers,
him and Derek Fisher, all these guys.
1 year, one off season.
You might not be able to get him.
I mean, he's not going to, but he would need to go to the likes of a Chicago.
I know it's very risky and it's easier said than done. But if you wait
of the Los Angeles Clippers, to be brutally honest,
then you're looking at a very.
But see, there's no guarantee you're going to get Kevin Love.
I mean, I would say poor Kobe, but
if he even gets the free agency,
I understand that. But if he stays in Minnesota, I think he's going elsewhere.
No, it's almost.
If he is traded to another
but then
team,
again, Kobe,
you're
not helping your cause. You're signing a 2-year, $36 million deal. What do you need that much money for?
Minnesota. Because if he goes to Golden State,
you want guys
to
come to you.
New teammates, he can
okay. Dirk Nowitzki,
if he gets traded,
LeBron James, pay cut.
Neither Cleveland nor Golden State, or any other team that goes in and tries to make a deal for him. No one is going to make the trade unless Kevin Love, before the trade is made, says, I'm going to sign an extension. Because if you're the Cavs and you trade
those guys are taking pay cuts,
and Kevin Love plays with you for 1 year and then decides to go elsewhere in free agency,
I mean,
it's a bad trade. Even if you win the championship,
retire as a Laker, but
Golden State, if he goes there, they give up Klay Thompson and some other players,
you want to win
and
NBA
he bounces after 1 year, it's a bad deal. You have to be assured of that contract
extension. You have to
extension.
sit there
and if
I'm
Minnesota,
mad about, the Lakers
and the Cavs do offer Andrew Wiggins,
thinking,
dang,
boom, in a heartbeat.
I'm looking
you're
around.
Not going anywhere this year with
Chris Kamen's not even here.
Love,
he was
and
sleeping
Love
on the
isn't going to
bench.
be
He's
there
not
in the
even
future.
here.
So
Steve Nash,
he's
old.
number 1 draft choice.
I agree.
Wesley
Who's been
Johnson.
very impressive in the summer league.
Yeah, that was a nice
Swaggy P, though.
All right,
Swaggy P. He's going to lead
the
the NBA
championship.
championship.
We're going to conclude our show.
All right, so we're going to head to talk about the ESPY,
Stuart Scott,
which the ESPY Awards show is happening tonight, 9 o'clock on ESPN. But today is the 10th annual ESPY Day auction to benefit the V Foundation for Cancer Research. And this really is a great organization that ESPN does each and every year now. Obviously, for the last 10 years, it's through ESPN Radio. Has helped money to raise cancer awareness and cancer research.
So we're not sure how much longer he has. If there's
and of course, the V Foundation, after the former North Carolina State University head coach Jim Valvano,
a lot for cancer research.
His famous speech was made in 1993 at the ESPY Awards. So don't ever give up. Speech.
How much he loves his daughters. How
really, Valvano is a guy that I never watched him. He died in 1994.
He works out a lot.
I was even
he's still
born.
doing sports.
But
he still was at the NBA Finals.
Valvano,
so if he's doing all this stuff as if he didn't have cancer.
Sammy
really
a guy
has to
that
give this guy a lot of props.
Every year, I'll watch that speech a bunch of times, and every year it seems like I pick up more and more stuff.
What he's been able to do while fighting cancer has just been
his
unbelievable.
30 for 30 is
spirits,
good. I've watched that a couple times.
His
really
spirits are just great.
Just try to see just his coaching aspect. Not necessarily. Everyone here now hears about
he didn't look great when he was on the
his fight for
podium at the
cancer
NBA
and
Finals,
helping
but when he's there
for cancer awareness, which is good.
It's the
great.
same old when
Not
he's
saying
in
that,
that
but,
moment. It's the Stuart Scott
I've
that
read all that stuff. I kind of want to just get to know his basketball
for the last
insights
however
more.
many years. He always brings it.
Now.
He always brings the upbeat attitude, and it's phenomenal. It's amazing to see.
But again, 9
o'clock that he has, and he talked about during that speech how. As of Sunday,
Stuart Scott, a 3-time.
He didn't know if he was going to be able to make it out to Los Angeles. And I mean, we're talking Los Angeles.
Will be honored for the
you're flying cross country from out here in Connecticut.
Named after Jim Valvano.
It's not like you're
and,
driving 2 hours up to New York. This is
that's going to be emotional. That's another
experience to go out to Los Angeles. And he was talking about
big as
his
Jim
kidneys
Valvano,
failing him and different things. And
it's going to be
you
emotional.
just got to tip your hat to him.
There's going to be
hope that he can somehow keep
really
finding a way to beat it off
across the country.
And some of his.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to today's podcast. This was quite a long one. I'm not sure how long it was. I can do the math.
Just because he basically said if cancer kills you, it doesn't necessarily mean that it beat you.
So thank you for listening to the podcast.
While you have
can listen to our shows or past shows off our website, the sportsbrothersblog.wordpress.com, or off our Twitter page at sportbrothers.
Then you could easily say he defeated cancer.
Today was our 17th
and I
show.
thought that was
Stump the Bro is still in effect when Sam is around, and we're not doing a special edition. Still tied 4-4.
Obviously, no one knows how much time they're going to have on Earth.
We're going to try to do a show Friday. I don't have work. I have work tomorrow. We'll try to do a show Friday.
Every moment to its fullest.
And pretty much. Stump the Bro should be back.
Now it's time
but
for
other than that, have a great day,
show.
folks.
All right. You go first. You go first. Go first. Go. Go.
All right. It's go time. All right. I got to find my question.
Mandelbaum. You know what I'm...
Yeah, I know. It's Seinfeld. That was on the other day. All right.
Well, you said it's go time.
Who was the first most valuable player of the Futures game? Hold on. Let me start this over. I got it. Okay. The first Futures game was in 1999 at Fenway Park. Who was the first most valuable player of the Futures game? Your choices are Jose Reyes, Sean Burrows, or Alfonso Soriano.
Sean Burrows.
Nope. Alfonso Soriano. Don't know what he did, but the World, they won 7-0.
Impressive.
Yeah. But you look at the MVPs, Alfonso Soriano, Sean Burrows, he played for the San Diego Padres. Toby Hall, catcher for the Tampa Bay Rays. Jose Reyes, Grady Sizemore, Aaron Hill, Billy Butler. Some pretty big names.
They usually do a pretty good job getting it right.
Yeah.
All right. Golf question for you.
Oh, come on.
Rory McIlroy shot 66-66 in the first 2 rounds. You know what? This is a bad question.
You're going to think of one on the spot?
Yeah. Just give me a second, people. All right. Cal Ripken Jr., in his final All-Star game, hit a home run off which NL starting pitcher? Randy Johnson, Chan-Ho Park, or Curt Schilling?
Chan-Ho Park.
Did you know that?
Yep. 5 for me.
Man. All right, wrap it up.
You can storm out as you always do when you lose. You know, we can just end something, bro, just like that. Just end the whole segment.
No.
Okay. All right, so thank you for listening to the Sports Brothers Podcast. You can listen to our current shows, past shows, off our website, thesportsbrothersblog.wordpress.com, and you are mad. You just hit yourself. That was pretty funny, actually.
I didn't hit myself.
It looks like you did.
I did
Oh, okay. Oh, man.
Jarred my brain a little on that one.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, all right. You're mad, as usual. And I'm in the lead 5-4. So, again, you can listen to our past shows, current shows, off the Sports Brothers Podcast. Now you're just messing me up. Now you're just looking at me. All right, I'm just going to look away from you. So you can listen to our past shows, current shows off our website, thesportsbrothersblog.wordpress.com, or off our Twitter page at Sport Brothers. And thank you for listening to our podcast today. We're trying to get as much feedback as possible. Again, we have our last couple shows. Really probably 3, 4, maybe 5, 6, I don't know. Something. Pretty much once we go to the Cape, we're done. August 2nd to the 9th, we're going to Cape Cod, family vacation. And then a few days after, Sam leaves. Maybe between the 9th and the 13th, we'll do one more. Yeah, we'll sneak one. We'll do a final. Yeah, a farewell. Maybe get a blooper reel. No, I'm just kidding. I can't do that much work. All right, so thank you for listening to the podcast. And as always, have a wonderful day.